Chapter 1. The Origins of the Gods. The Beginning. There are many theories about the origins of the Greek gods. One theory says that the ancient Greeks believed their gods were originally real people. They were chosen to be gods because of their wisdom and good deeds for mankind. Another theory is that the universe was created by the Big Bang. No one created it. There was a mighty explosion, and all things were gathered in one confused mass called chaos. For many years, only chaos and darkness covered the earth. Then, out of that dark universe, came the divinities: Gaia, Mother Earth; Uranus, Father Sky. Gaia and Uranus had many children together. Their first children were the monsters, the 300-handed ones, and the 3 Cyclopes. The 300-handed ones were powerful monsters with 50 heads and 100 hands each. They were extremely destructive and hideous to look at. And the 3 Cyclopes were huge giants who had only one eye in the middle of their foreheads. They represented thunder and lightning and were also powerful. Uranus hated his children, feared their power, and was jealous of the attention they received from Gaia. So he pushed them deep into the underworld and imprisoned them there. After the birth of the monsters, Gaia gave birth to the Titans. They were 12 in number and born huge and powerful like their elder brothers. The Titans created the moon, the seas, mountains, forests, and plains. They married each other and gave birth to a great number of other beings. The imprisonment of the 100-handed ones and the Cyclopes hurt Gaia. She encouraged Cronus, the youngest and the bravest of the Titans, to defeat Uranus. So Cronus did as she asked, and the weakened Uranus withdrew from the earth. He was furious and cursed Cronus, saying that one of Cronus's own children would rise up against him. After Cronus had defeated Uranus, he married his sister Rhea, who gave birth to many children. To prevent these children from revolting against him, Cronus swallowed each of them at birth. But when Rhea became pregnant for the 6th time, she was determined to protect her child from its father. After giving birth to a son, she handed Cronus a stone in a blanket, which he quickly swallowed. Then she hid her son on the island of Crete and named him Zeus. When Zeus was grown up, Rhea brought him back from Crete. She mixed a potion of strong herbs, wine, and honey for Zeus to give to Cronus. It looked very delicious, so he drank all of it. As soon as Cronus drank it, he began to vomit. One by one, Zeus's older brothers and sisters were thrown from Cronus's mouth. These siblings included Poseidon, god of the seas; Demeter, goddess of agriculture; Hera, goddess of marriage and the home; Hestia, goddess of the fireplace; and Hades, god of the underworld. Now Cronus knew that Zeus was his son, and that Uranus's curse was coming true. So he abandoned his palace and fled. Zeus then released the 100-handed ones and the Cyclopes from the underworld. In gratitude, the Cyclopes made thunder and lightning for Zeus as weapons. With them, he could reign forever as supreme ruler of the gods.
The 12 Olympians. There are 12 major gods in Greek mythology, and they are known as the 12 Olympians. Zeus and his brothers and sisters represented the first generation of Olympians. The 12 Olympians often gathered on Mount Olympus for meetings. Mount Olympus rose from the center of Greece and was a place of perfect peace. 11 of the Olympians made their home there. Only Hades chose to make his home in the underworld. Zeus was the absolute ruler of all, and the god of the sky and thunder. He became the supreme king of all the gods and goddesses after he overthrew his evil father. When angry, Zeus would throw massive thunderbolts into the skies above the earth. Although he was married to Hera, he was not a faithful husband and fathered many children with other goddesses and mortals. His wife Hera became the queen of the gods and the goddess of marriage and family. She was very jealous of Zeus's female companions and banished many of them and their children from Mount Olympus. They were left to continually wander the earth looking for a peaceful place to rest. Zeus's brother, Poseidon, was the god of the oceans and earthquakes. The ancient Greeks believed he could calm the oceans and provide abundant catches for the fishermen. But they also knew that his anger could cause earthquakes and tidal waves. He carried a trident, with which he could shake the earth and shatter any object. He was the second most powerful Olympian god after Zeus. The god of the underworld was Hades, another of Zeus's brothers. He was also the god of wealth and precious metals. Hades was said to be a kind ruler who tried to establish stability in the underworld. Apollo was the son of Zeus and Leto, a Titan's daughter. Some of his responsibilities were truth, medicine, music, and poetry. He was regarded as the most handsome and youthful of the gods and was said to have the ability to heal. But he could also spread deadly viruses when he was angry. He had a twin sister, Artemis, who became the goddess of the hunt, and all wild animals were scared of her. She was also known as the goddess of the wilderness, childbirth, and the moon. The goddess of love and beauty was Aphrodite. Her father was Uranus, and she was created when some of her father's bloody body parts were thrown into the sea. Aphrodite was said to have a magical girdle that compelled anyone who wished to desire her. She became the wife of Hephaestus. Hephaestus was the god of metal, blacksmiths, volcanoes, and fire. He was known to be kind-hearted, but his mother, Hera, thought he was ugly. So she threw him from Mount Olympus, and he suffered serious disfiguring injuries in the fall. However, Hephaestus is credited with the design and manufacture of many of the weapons, armor, and furniture of the gods and goddesses. The thrones at Mount Olympus, their sandals, helmets, and Eros's bow and arrow are examples of his work. Because of his love of fighting and bloodshed, Ares was known as the god of war. All the other gods and goddesses hated him, except Aphrodite. His half-sister Athena became known as the goddess of war. She always appears armed and covered in the armor she wore when she was born from her father's head. Hestia was the sister of Zeus. She is not a well-known goddess, but concentrated on the safety of newborn children, keeping the home calm and the hearth warm with fire. Hermes was another of Zeus's sons. He had great speed and became known as the messenger of the gods and carrier of souls to the underworld. Among the gods, he was the only one allowed to enter heaven, earth, and the underworld. However, he had an impulse to steal, so he was also known as the god of thieves. he became a close friend of Dionysus, the god of wine. The 12 Olympians took on human forms and lived in a society similar to that of the mortals. They gathered in Zeus's palace to discuss and often to argue about the affairs of heaven and earth. They were jealous and greedy, and they often fought with each other. This was how the ancient Greeks explained war, droughts, floods, earthquakes, epidemics, famines, and abundant harvests, as well as everyday events in the lives of the ancient Greeks.